So you want to tell us about why we're here?
Yeah, so there's this program called Pomeranian Export Broker that's designed to help entrepreneurs from Pomeranian region to get into the foreign markets. And one of those markets that we focus our efforts on is the United States. So last year, one of the companies I managed, Neoteric, has been accepted for this program, and we went to California and Nevada and Canada with that program quite successfully. So I believe that the question here is how can a company leverage this kind of program? How can you enter the U.S. market? What are the differences? That's what I understand this meeting is about.
All right. So you said you went to Nevada and California. Can you speak to any differences that you saw between doing business in the different states?
I don't see that much yet because I think we're 2 or 3 years in the U.S. market, and it's not that I know it deep enough to see particular differences. There are some hints when you just feel the person, but I couldn't, say specifically that, I don't know, someone is more emotional driven and someone is more numbers driven as a factor of coming from a certain state or a certain coast. So like for me, the U.S. market, I know it's on fire, and it's just because we were quite early there. It's one market that we look at, both geographically and in the matter of culture, because culture is considered as distance and in international business as well.
All right. So what are some cultural differences that people going into this program should be aware of in order to make the best use of their time?
I would say 2 things. One is not a cultural part. It's the part that if you want to leverage the trip that's coming in November, you're probably already too late. Entering a new market without significant testimonials, for instance, or case studies, is it's next to impossible. The foreign market is always harder to get to, and if you cannot sell your product on your own market, if you cannot sell that product on the market just next to you, which is cheaper and easier to get to, and you probably have some network there, going straight to the US is very, very hard. So unless your product is like a really low ticket SaaS, starting from US is going to be very hard with anything more service driven or more enterprisey. That would be my first comment on that. So you need to have a plan and you need to start first. It's not like you're gonna land in San Francisco, say that you have 10 friends that can code in Ruby, and everyone will throw dollars at you. This doesn't work that way. So the cultural differences, like the huge difference really is the customer focus and that premium customer service that you experience in the US. And what I mean by premium customer service is that regardless if you are going to the shitty motel just next to the highway, or you're in Hilton in financial district, you get the same feeling as a customer being served with full focus on your needs, with everyone being helpful and smiling and trying to make your day better just because. And I feel that in Europe, this is what you can expect in a 5-star hotel. But if you go to anything leverage, I can recommend you so many bad hotels in London, and I cannot think of one that's not a part of the huge network.
All right. Yeah. Do you have what's your theory as to why customer focus has developed in the U.S. the way it has?
I didn't know, like I haven't lived in the US, and you probably can tell me, but isn't this something that you would just expect?
Is
it
it's
just
definitely something that I
normal? You
expect.
just
So
go to the store next to you and you expect the person to smile, you expect the person to say hi. Like when you stand in this is something that's really not my favorite thing about Poland. People don't smile here. You walk in the street, you pass someone, You cannot even find an eye contact. If you do, they just ditch it. If you even do, if you smile, they look at you like you are a weirdo. If two people stand next to each other in the US, I have a feeling that both of them has like one modus operandi. Is there any way we can make this moment more fun for each other? So you look at someone, they smile, you say hi, they ask you how are you, and now you're talking because you have 5 minutes waiting for a subway. And even though the pace in the US is much higher, they appreciate those small moments where you can really connect. And this is something I miss here, for sure.
All right. So how do you think that companies might use that to leverage traction in the U.S.?
I think that's just something you need to understand when you're trying to enter a new market. So there are the basics. You need to have traction. You need to be able to show case studies, and they need to be relevant to the people you're trying to sell to. And the fact that you, I don't know, sold your software to a small production company from Treff, or the fact that you're, I don't know, a leader in selling some single segment in one or two districts in Poland, is not an argument at all. So you need to have a relevant case study. Best case studies from the local market, the one that's the closest to you with a more similar problem that has been solved. And how we tackled that is we leverage the trust because trust is the base of making business with the US. Like, you don't sell, you establish trust. And when you establish trust, you just make business. You agree on terms that are a win-win. When you have this trust basis, it's not about your rate card, it's not about your papers, it's about making a way of doing that business scalable for both parties and valuable for both parties. And that's great because at some point you stop selling to your customer and you start building a relationship that grows in value for both.
Quid pro
and
quo.
That's amazing. You asked about the difference that enables you to, how can you leverage the knowing about these differences to enter the market. So the first is to find a partner that can give you those first case studies from a local market. So then when you finally get to the meeting, through that program, through your own efforts, through your network, you have something to show. Because if you sat with a US customer, your perfect ideal customer today, and he asked you, who did you work for? And I feel that in the US, everything is about introduction. And there's just the power of the introduction. If I invested in you and I exited on you, this is the most powerful reference you can get. Or if I acquired you and I'm happy with that. And you have different kind of references. The lowest one is, look, I worked with this guy. You can go and ask him. And this is what you need to do. Like, this has to be done for any new customer.
What kind of team competencies do startups have to have in place in order to fulfill the customer service demands of the U.S. market?
Like, the first thing I always say whenever anyone asks me about going to a foreign market is, do you speak English? It matters. Like, if it's an effort for you to watch Netflix in English, you should probably spend your time learning English rather than learning how to export your products or services. Because if you want to grow there, if you really want to do it, not just like win just small opportunity, but strategically enter the market, you need to be able to communicate in a way that it's a pleasure for both. You need to have the same cultural references, you need to laugh at the same jokes, you need to watch the same movies, you need to use the same catchphrases, because this is what makes it interesting for person-to-person relation. And since there's a lot of business to be done, people who are really good at business tend to do business with those they just like to hang out with.
That's true. if you have that little bit of an edge, superstar economics start to take hold.
All right. So wrapping it up, if our way to say anything, have at least a few case studies from the U.S. market, get the right introductions, or use those references as an entry point, and start today if you haven't started yesterday. And in November, there's a good chance to go to the U.S. on another business trip organized by Pomeranian Export Broker. Thanks.